Late one evening, a young woman named Sarah moved into an old house she had inherited from a distant relative. The house was grand but eerie, with creaking floorboards and dim, narrow hallways. Most of the rooms were covered in dust, abandoned for years, but she was determined to make the house her own. On her first night, after unpacking, she noticed something strange, a mirror hanging in the hallway. It was old, with an intricate frame, but it wasn't dusty like the rest of the house. In fact, it looked almost polished. Curious, she stared at her reflection, but something felt off. She could swear her reflection moved slightly after she did, as if it were a split second behind. The feeling of unease didn't leave her. She heard faint footsteps echoing down the hallway. At first, she thought it was the house settling, but then the sound grew louder, closer. Someone or something was walking just outside her door. Terrified, Sarah called out, but there was no answer. The footsteps stopped, and the house fell into an oppressive silence. The next morning, she dared to investigate. The mirror was still there, its polished surface reflecting the empty hallway. But when Sarah looked closely, her reflection didn't match her movements. Her reflection was smiling a wide, sinister grin. It was the only thing in the house that seemed alive. Suddenly, the door to the room creaked open. Standing in the doorway was a figure, someone who looked exactly like Sarah, but pale and hollow-eyed, a twisted version of herself. The figure whispered, "You shouldn't have come here." The last thing Sarah saw before everything went dark was the smile in the mirror, growing wider and more grotesque. The footsteps she had heard, now loud and echoing, weren't just in the hall anymore. They were right behind her.